Good morning, yogis. If you need to elevate your hips at all, feel free to sit on a block, a pillow, some towels, some blankets, and then just try to bring your spine long. So if you're in a position where you slumpasana, where you slump back, you're not going to have a long spine. So put something there so that you can. And then just close your eyes, gaze to the tip of your nose. Maybe gently press down the knees so that hips open a little bit more. In fact, let's all just take our feet a little bit in front of us and bring the feet a little closer to each other so the hips are a little wider. And that might throw you off a little bit in your pelvis, so just pay attention. And use your hands to help elevate the spine. And then gently drop your chin towards your chest and relax the tension from the ears to the shoulders. Breathe in and breathe out. And just notice how your body reacts today to even just breathing. Even just the breath. Good morning, Lauren. Just go ahead and mute yourself. We'll talk after. And then one more time, bring your chin to your chest, drop your shoulders down. So as you bring the chin to the chest, notice how you need to kind of press down with your arms to release the tension from the ears and shoulders, or the neck. And on the next inhaling breath, just pull your heart forward, lift your chin off your chest, and lean forward to the first point of resistance in your hips, where you first start to feel it. For me, it's very early. And then pull your belly back and round your spine like you got punched in the stomach. So if you roll off the block, take it away. And then pull yourself forward again, bring your heart forward just to the point where you first feel it. Stay there, release your hands and walk them out in front of you. It might be a little bit deeper stretch into those hips. A lot of us, we need to stretch in this part of our body so much. The glutes, they're tight, especially if you do a lot of squatting. And if you do a lot of sitting, we'll get to that area too. Walk over to your left side and just push your hips to the right side. Drop your shoulders down. Maybe you put your forehead towards your knee, but maybe you just keep your nice long spine. Take another breath here and walk over a little bit more to the left side. Continue that walk over so maybe you're on the outside of your left leg, but your hips are pressing down and you maybe turn your gaze over to the left side. Breathe in. And walk slowly through center to the other side. Stop at your first point of real resistance on that left hip. Notice it. And then see if you can make it a little bit longer by moving the arms a little bit more to the right on the outside of that right thigh. Push your left hip to the floor. Gather in all the energies. Lengthen your spine. And then make your way back to center. Now walk the hands back in, lean back, shake out your legs, remember the cross of your legs, and switch them. Once again, bringing your feet closer to each other, opening the knees in a wider pelvic basin. Press the knees down, press the shoulders down. Breathe in here, we're going to go right into the forward fold. So walk out. Notice the difference from side to side, because chances are this is your less habitual side, right? This is the side that you didn't choose to sit in first because it was the most comfortable. Walk over to your right side. Go as far as you can go without lifting the hip up, without creating tension, without losing your breath. And then walk a little further to your right side if you have the space available. Keep the right arm down and spin your heart open as you take the left arm up. Then push the right hand against the floor so the bottom side of your body has some space to move. One more breath. Very simple. Let go of the left arm and slowly walk through center. Take a pause in the middle and walk over to the left side. Walk as far as you can. This may be a more comfortable side for you. Who knows, right? And then walk it a little deeper. You know, we never know what's going to happen on the mat till we get there. You think it's going to be hard as can be and it becomes an easy day. Now take that right arm down. Or some days it's just all challenging. So go with the flow as it were. Bring the bottom side of your body up and in. Breathe. Push the right hip down. And empty the breath as you come back down. Walk it back through the center. Go a little further this time. See if you've got a little more space. And then release the arms behind you. Release your legs. Take the feet onto the floor, the pinky toes on the edges of your mat, and windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Just get a nice little release. And then just keep your feet wide. Use assistance on your hands to bring you into a low squat. And if that doesn't work for you, just do a forward fold. Sit your weight back. Maybe you're sitting on a block here. Walk your hands out in front of you and squeeze your knees and your triceps to each other and against each other at the same time. And then pull your belly into your spine and drop your chin to your chest and check out your navel point. What's going on? Pull it all the way back to your spine. Breathe in and breathe out. Take your hands to the floor. Move yourself forward so your weight shifts to your hands and your heels lift. Your knees are on the outside of your triceps just for a moment. We're not doing crow unless you really have a desire. Then press the heels to the floor. Spin the toes forward, but keep the feet wide. Walk your hands so they're under the shoulders and the palms are on the floor. Head hangs down to the floor like you have a light at the top of your head and you're pointing it directly down. Now bend your knees here, guys. All right, so it's early in the practice. It's early in the morning for some of us. And then push the heel of the hand down so you feel the connection under the arms. Keep the knees bent. Draw the chin to the chest. Draw the belly to the spine. Hang your head down with that flashlight. And then tuck the chin to the chest. Rise to your fingertips just for a moment. Notice how connected you are to the floor with your feet. And now pull your pelvic muscles up even more. And keep the lightness in the fingers as you roll to stand all the way up. Take your time. You may be at the front or back of the mat. Right now it doesn't matter. Roll those shoulders back and around a couple times. Good. Up, back, down, and around. And then reverse your shoulders up, forward. Good. And then take the arms by your side. Spin your palms open so your thumbs are opening towards the back of the room. Your shoulders are externally rotated. And then push your pinky toes into the mat or towards the edges of the mat. So feel this engagement on the outside of your hips. Now spread the arms up shoulder height. Spin the palms open, still with that same external rotation. And then stretch the arms all the way up over your head. Drop your shoulders down. Tuck your tailbone underneath you. Your legs are pushing outward. Your knees are lifting upward. Your pelvic floor is lifted up. And then take a swan dive to fold all the way down. Bend those knees again. Hands on the floor, in between the 2 feet in front of them. Rise up onto your finger pads and just stay there for a moment, just on the tips of your fingers. Bend your knees enough that you don't have tension in your back. Your knees are soft. And see if you can float the arms out to the side without any other movement. Palms are down for this. Crown of the head forward, tailbone long. So from the tailbone to the head, one long line. As you inhale, push your feet against the outside of the mat. Rise up to standing. So there's ways to do this where you don't feel very much, and there's ways to do this where you feel a lot more. So we're going to try to find some feeling here. So push your feet outward against the mat. Take your arms outward to the shoulders. Flip the palms up. Open up the arms. You should feel this in the shoulders. And then engage your lats. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. So if you think about these kind of things when you're raising your arms, even if it goes a lot quicker than this, you'll start to feel the action of what's going on in your body. One more breath here. Turn the palms down as you bend and swan dive this way, all the way down to the floor. Hands in front of your feet, lengthen your spine, climb up to your fingertips. Let's bring the feet a little bit closer, about hips width, 2 fists in between your feet. Bring the hands in front of the feet, bend your knees, stick your tush out, bring the crown of the head forward. Now lift your belly so you're not resting on your thighs. Your bottom ribs pull up. And then take your arms out to the side. Still notice what's going on in the feet, pushing the feet to the outside of the mat. You should feel a lot of action here. And then rise up to stand all the way up. Hands come over your head or Uttanasana. Lift your heart up. Bring your ribs down towards your hips so you're not pooching out and you're not working into your lower back, but the bend comes in the middle and upper back. And then bring your arms back down by your side. Step to the front of the mat. If you're not there, you can have your feet closer separated, but still the same action in the pinky toes pressing outward. Will give you a lot of action in those hips. Arms are down, palms are open. This is called anatomical position. This is the way you see your skeleton. You see a lot of skeletons right around this time of year, so notice how they should be standing. Take your breath in and bring the arms with you overhead. Interlace your fingers, release thumb and forefinger, point them up to the ceiling, like you're being pulled to the ceiling and like you're being drawn to the floor, ribs towards the hips, belly towards the spine. Lift up and over to the right side, point your fingers to the right diagonal, and pull your left arm with your right arm, and making sure again that you don't have that collapse into the right side of your body, but you lift and lengthen. And then on the inhaling breath, just rise back up to the center, lift up and over to the left side. Pull the right arm with the left arm, open up your heart, your chest, your throat. Good. Come back to center, inhale, lift your heart up. Drop your head back a little bit if it feels okay for your neck, and reach again from the middle upper back, open up your chest. Now with the same fingertips, bend your knees and come halfway down, biceps by the ears. Head to tailbone nice and long. And then rise back up all the way, open up. Release your hands and swan dive back down to the floor. Hands on either side of the foot, shin or blocks. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Bring your collarbones to the front of your mat. Exhale, melt and fold all the way down. My knees are still bent. You can have bent or straight legs depending on your hamstrings. Lengthen your spine and your back. Now on this next breath, step your right foot back all the way to the back of your mat. Just notice. Notice how this left hip might want to shift out, so draw it back to center. Squeeze your inner thighs. Everything moves towards the midline of your body. Then climb onto fingertips or maybe blocks. And then hover your hands off the floor and notice how that glute has to fire up. What's happening in the back leg? Lift the knee up nice and strong. And then lift your torso up. Keep your arms down by your side. Bend your back knee and let it hover, maybe a little bit higher, depending on your knees. And then bring the arms up to your shoulders like you're holding a block in front of you. Maybe you want to. Straighten the back leg without moving your hip. Lift your torso and reach your arms up. So you're reaching out of that middle upper back. We did this before. We did this while we were standing. So if those bottom ribs start pooching out, you're probably putting too much in your lower back. So lift up through the torso, then let the back bend occur in the middle upper back. One more breath, gang. Let go of the breath, let go of the hands. Step a little bit closer if you need to, and try to straighten that front leg to the best of your body's ability. Pull the hips towards midline, lengthen your spine, inhale. And then melt and fold over that left leg, hang your head. So this isn't feasible for a lot of us, right? Straight leg. Hamstrings are tight, my runners will know that's an effect. One more breath. Good, now lengthen your spine, come back to your fingertips. Put some energy into the front leg, but as well in the back leg. Bring your hands to your hips with a flat back. Rise all the way up to standing. Step your right foot to your left foot, arms by your side. Find some energy in the legs, tailbone tucks. Inhale from this anatomical position, stretch the arms all the way up overhead. Interlace your fingers, release thumb and forefinger, and lift up and over to the right side. Breathe. Can you go a little bit more this time, but not collapse into your right side body? Breathe in and breathe out. Pull the left arm a little bit more with your right, and then inhale back up to center, up and over to the left side, exhale. Lift up and over, pull, pull, pull with that right arm. Find some length, keep the left side of your body up and lifted, and rise back up to the ceiling. Lift your heart up. Soften your knees, come down halfway, biceps by the ears, sit the weight of your heels back, or the weight of your hips back to your heels. Good, and then rise back up, inhale. Open and swan dive all the way down to the floor. Hands on either side of the foot, shins or blocks. Halfway lift, inhale, lengthen your spine. Melt and fold, exhale, hang your head, let it go. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Low lunge. Make the adjustments you need to when you get there. So hug your hips towards midline. If you have to take your back knee to the floor, go ahead. And then climb to your fingertips and really notice what happens in this right leg. Really notice how much energy has to go into your glutes. And then hover your hands off the floor. Stay stable here. Keeping the arms by your side, begin to raise your torso up. And then bend your back knee, maybe an inch off the floor, maybe a little higher. I don't know what's going on in your hips and knees, right? So knee in line with your hip, knee in line with second, third toe, working on it. Then bring your arms up shoulder height like you're holding a block. That's how much space. Then straighten the back leg, keep energy in it. Then lifting through the torso, raise the arms up. Sink your back hip, drop your shoulders down. No pooching out of the bottom ribs, so really squeeze the ribs towards the hips towards the ribs. Tuck the tailbone underneath you, one more breath. As you exhale, lower the hands to the floor. Step in a little closer if you need to and begin to straighten that front leg. Pull the right hip back and the left hip forward, lengthen your spine, inhale. Exhale as you fold over your leg, maybe your hands are on blocks or books or anything that can elevate them off the floor, or you can always put them on your shin to get a little higher. So blocks help us bring the floor to us. They're readily available these days, as they were not in the beginning of the pandemic, but they are now. Take another breath, rise to your fingertips. Good. Bring your hands to your hips, crown of the head to the tailbone long. Hug everything to midline. Rise up to standing. Left foot to right foot, arms by your side. Good. Take a big breath in, bring the arms all the way up. Fold down your way, maybe through heart center, hang your head to the floor, lengthen your spine on the inhale. Melt and fold on the exhale, grab your torso closer towards your legs. Inhale, lengthen, step your right foot back. Step your left foot back, downward facing dog, hips up in the air. So feel that energy of the feet pulling apart and now the arms pulling apart at the same time. Shift your weight from your hands to your feet. So take all that tension out of your wrists, your shoulders, your neck, your elbows, your forearms. Then rise up onto your toes and pull your kneecaps up. Lift your pelvic floor up. Pull your belly to your spine. And just shift forward to a plank. Measure it out. Make sure you're in the right position. If you have to, the knees can come to the floor. Now push the floor away, belly in. Round your upper back, spread your shoulders apart, and then go back to your downward dog. If you had to make an adjustment, you shouldn't have to make it again. So now we're still in that same downward dog position. We rise up onto our toes. Everything is strong from the belly down to the toes. Shift forward into your plank. Lift your belly up nice and strong. Spread your shoulders apart. Slight rounding in the upper back. Knees are lifted. And then push back. Downward dog. Breathe. Now this time we're going to come back up onto our toes, come into your to your plank, and then just keep your toes tucked and drop your hips. If that's too much, go a little bit lower to cobra. So lift your chest up. It's kind of a hybrid of a cobra and an up dog. Now release your toes. See if you have a little bit more lift in the upper body. Look over your right shoulder to your left heel. Look over your left shoulder to your right heel. Come back to center. Sit back on your heels for a moment in child's pose. And just know, even though we haven't said it until now because we didn't start in child's pose, just know that you can always come here, right? Breathe in, breathe out. On the next breath, come back to your hands and knees, your back, Michelle. Okay, tuck the toes, I was looking for you. Downward facing dog. So hopefully we've kept and maintained the length that we need. So let's go check it out again with your high plank. Do you need to move? Now look forward, either drop your knees or bend your elbows and go halfway down with straight legs. Push off and roll over your toes or you're in a belly low cobra. Downward dog, hips up in the air. Good. Breathe. That, my friends, is called vinyasa. We'll be doing a few of those today. Come back to your breath. Soften your knees, look at your hands, and however you get there, make your way to the top of the mat, halfway lift. Bring your heart forward and rise up to standing. Take hands to your heart center as you exhale and bring your hands by your side. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Fold down your way through the center, out to the side, doesn't matter. Halfway lift on the inhaling breath. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, step the left foot back, downward facing dog, hips up in the air. So eventually your body will get to know how wide it should step, right? Come back to a high plank, make sure you're in the right position. Lower halfway down or on your knees is fine. Upward dog or low cobra is perfect. Or 100 extra push-ups, downward facing dog. If you like to do push-ups, guys, put them in there. If you like to skip them, skip them. Doesn't matter, it's your practice. Come high on your toes, bend your knees, and make your way to the top of the mat. Look up. Exhale, forward fold. Rise to stand, bring the hands overhead, and bring them to your heart. Exhale. Arms down by your side. This is called Surya Namaskara A. It's a variation of it. Inhale to bring the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. Right foot back, left foot back, downward dog, hips up in the air. Inhale to high plank. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Your way. Upward dog or low cobra. Downward dog. Nice and deep. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale and exhale. So you can make your way to the top of the mat by jumping, floating, hopping, handstanding, whatever you like. Or just take little steps. Find your way to the top of the mat. Look up halfway. Empty the breath, fold. Rise to stand. One more time, we'll go on the other side. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Halfway lift, that gives us length in the spine. Exhale, we fold and flex the spine. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And step with your left foot back to a downward facing dog. Take your flow, come forward to high plank. Your way. You want to skip it, just go to down dog or even child's pose. Go for it. Downward dog is where we meet. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe down the right side of your body, breathe down the left side of your body. Inhale and exhale. Good. Now lift up onto your toes from downward dog and just shift your legs, your heels to the right, but keep your torso facing forward. Bring your chest towards your thighs. Feel the outer pinky on the left foot nice and strong. And then come back up on your toes and shift your heels to the left side. Feel the outer pinky of the right foot, but keep drawing that left hip towards midline. It's a little bit challenging if you find the muscles to work on. And then back up to center, inhale on your toes. Bring your feet to touch. Take your right leg in the air nice and high. Look between your hands and step it through. Move your hands so they're in line with your toes and turn your back foot on its side like we just did. Now notice that right hip wants to swing out, so draw it back into the center. Once again, climb to your fingertips, hover your fingers, fire up that right glute, and then rise up with the arms by your side. Good, we're gonna keep that back leg nice and firm, pointing the pinky toe to the edge. Breathe, and then bring the arms up your way, over your head. Drop your shoulders. If you have the shoulder capability to bring your hands together, great. If not, don't worry. And then bend that front knee. Knee over the ankle. Square off your shoulders and hips towards the front of your mat. Breathe in, breathe out. Pull, like you're being pulled to the ceiling with your hands, but you're being drawn to the floor with your pelvis and your feet. Now straighten your front leg and fold over it. Hang your head, put your hands on the floor, shins or blocks. If this is too much with your back foot turned in this direction, pivot it all the way to the front and turn, maybe step closer. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Melt and fold, exhale. Now, come back to your inhaling breath, lengthen your spine. Put your right hand on the inside of your right foot or on a block or on your shin. You'll see where you need to be. Put your left hand on your left hip. Lengthen your spine on an inhale, and then rotate open to the left side. Now, if your right waistline, excuse me, is collapsed on your thigh, I want you to bring your hand higher up your leg or on a block. And then take your left hand on your left hip and just navigate it open. You probably have to turn the left toes a little bit more to the left. And then take your left arm up over your left shoulder, which is over your right shoulder. Your knees lift up, your heels squeeze together, lots of action in the body. So remember, you can do these poses with no action, or you can feel a lot of action. One more breath, look down at your right toes. Rise up, stand up straight, arms and shoulders and legs are straight. Turn your right toes inward, so the toes are slightly pigeoned. Bring your arms behind your back. Interlace your fingers, palms together. Knuckles down, chest up, squeeze your elbows and shoulder blades together, and send your body forward. Hang your head down to the floor in between your legs. Pressing the arms away from your back without force. Let your head hang down. That flashlight is back on the top of your head. Your weight's a little bit more into the balls of your feet than the heels. And let your body surrender. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, just release your hands underneath your shoulders, lengthen your spine. You'll have another option here. If you want to go upside down, this is fine. Or just wait till you're ready. Hang your head down in between your two arms. So if anybody takes an inversion here, great time to join in for that. One more breath. If you're upside down, just come back slowly. We'll all rise to our fingertips, inhale. And we're going to crawl back to the front of the room. Return to warrior one. Rise all the way up. Arms up overhead. Bend that front knee. As you exhale, release your hands to the floor. Spin the back foot forward. Step back to your high plank and flow your way. Upward and downward facing dogs. Everything is right. The only thing that's not right is if you're hurting yourself or someone else. Otherwise, you do you. Bring your feet together at the back of your mat. Lift your left leg in the air. Look in between your hands and step your left foot in between your two hands. Spin your back foot on its side. Stop there. Feel. Pull that left hip towards midline. Come to your fingertips. Bend your left knee and fire up that back side of your body. Hover your fingertips. Raise your torso up. And then your way, bring your arms overhead. Maybe the palms touch. Maybe your shoulders are so tight that your arms need to be here. And then let the rest of the work come from the upper back. Breathe. Inhale. Bring the ribs towards the hips. Exhale. Right pinky toe is nice and strong, firmly pressing into that floor. One more breath. Straighten your front leg. Fold over it slowly. Hang your head. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Exhale, fold over that front leg. Slightly different than sensation than perhaps the first one that we did. Let your head hang down. Can you pull that left hip back and that right hip forward? One more breath. On the inhale, we lengthen again. Left hand moves inside of the left foot. Keep a block nearby should you need it. You might have to sweep that right foot out a little bit. Tuck that left hip underneath. You put the right hand on your right hip. Work through the torso here by rotating the torso so shoulders begin to stack. Now, if you're collapsing to your left side, bring your left hand a little higher up your leg or back on a block. Stack shoulders, and if you feel ready, right arm comes up, Trikonasana triangle pose. So for me, this pose, there's a lot of work in my legs, for sure, but there's a lot of work in my torso to stay off of the thigh and lengthen. So all, before we twist, before we bend, we lengthen. Breathe in, breathe out. Hug your hips, so your outer hips open, your inner hips close. One more breath. As you rise up, stand up nice and tall, arms and legs straight. Spin your left foot towards the right, slight pigeon toe. Once again, bring your arms behind your back. If you interlace the fingers, shift the fingers one over, or maybe you want to take this one in a reverse prayer. See how your shoulders are reacting today. Breathe in, and then lengthen your spine to fold forward. Put the weight more in the balls of the feet than the heels. The crown of the head down. You're going to almost feel like you're falling forward. And if you do, put your hands on the floor so that you're more stable. Lifting your knees up so there's no hyperextension in the knees. I was going to say hyperventilation, but they don't breathe. Just let them open up. Hang your head down. Inhale and exhale. And if you'd like to go upside down, bring your hands down to the floor. Everybody, let's bring our hands to the floor anyway. Lengthen your spine. Walk your hands out in front of you. Shift your weight to your hands. Just enough. And then shift your weight back towards your heels with a soft bend in your knees. Breathe into the right and left sides of your body. One more breath. If you're upside down, come on back down. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders, lengthen your spine. Walk around to the front of your mat, left toes turned forward. Arms raise up, warrior one. Inhale, square off your shoulders and hips. Breathe. Bring your bottom ribs down and in, lift your heart up, breathe in. As you exhale, fold down, turn your back foot forward. Step back and take your vinyasa sequence. You can skip it, you can add to it, and meet in downward dog when you're ready. Inhale and exhale. Walk your hands back to your feet, back of the mat. Separate your feet hips width apart. Climb to your fingertips, lengthen your spine, and bend your knees a lot, like you're going to sit into a chair. You're going to become a chair. So if you have a block, you might want to put it between your knees so you don't knock in, but you can just try to keep the knees in line with the hips, just with muscular action. And then bring your arms out in front of you. Sit back like you're in a tug of war, and if you come forward, you lose the game. So drop your seat, pretend you're in camp, push down through the balls of the feet, the bottoms of the feet, big toe, little toe, and then rise all the way up. Exhale, arms by your side. Inhale, chair pose, weight back in your heels. Lift your toes up to make sure that's happening. One more breath. And then forward fold, walk your hands down in front of your toes. Rise up halfway. Walk your hands out to the top of the mat, downward facing dog, hips up in the air. Walk your dog from side to side. And then come up onto your tippy toes. Soften your knees, look forward, and make your way to the top of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in half. Bring your feet a little closer if it feels okay for you. Sit down, chair pose. Rise up to stand. Bring your hands to your heart center, and bring your hands by your side. Surya Namaskar B, Sun Salutation B. If you're not familiar with it, we'll do it together. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep the floor, chair pose. Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step, step or jump through plank and Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right foot between your hands, left foot turns on its side. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1 or A. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Right through the movement. The breath lingers through that push-up. Downward dog. When you're ready, left foot steps forward, right foot turns. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Staff pose with a little push-up, four-limbed, Chatva. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Chest towards thighs, head hangs down. Stay and catch your breath. Inhale. And exhale. High on your toes, bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back to your chair pose, Utkatasana. Press down to stand all the way up, hands to your heart center and by your side. One more time, Sun Salutation B with your warriors. Inhale, bend your knees, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana, inhale, halfway lift. Chaturanga Dandasana, step or jump back through your vinyasa sequence. You choose what you're doing here. You could skip the whole darn thing. Downward dog. Right foot steps, left foot turns, warrior one, inhale. Chaturanga on that exhale, just flow. It's all a dance. The breath moves in, the breath moves out, downward dog. Left foot steps, right foot turns, warrior one, inhale. Chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, upward dog. Make your way to downward dog. Take a child's pose if it's too much. Walk your dog if you need it. And just settle the breath down. Find the peace in this pose on our peace train. Rise up onto your toes. Move your heels to the right side. Breathe. Push your heels down. Now release your left hand and shift your hips down into your Vashisthasana with a split leg. Okay? Left arm up, right hip up. Breathe. Maybe the arm goes overhead. Open up your heart. Good. Exhale the hand down. Square your body into plank. Push back downward dog. High on your toes. Heels to the left side. Then we're going to shift to our plank and then open up onto the left arm. Remember, you can always drop the bottom knee. Maybe you want to take the arm up overhead. All that I'm really concerned with is this bottom side of your body. All right? Not so much if your hands and your legs are straight. Or your legs, I should say. Right arm down. High plank. Downward dog, hips up. Breathe in. And breathe out. Step your feet together. Right leg in the air, bend the left knee. Right leg steps all the way through. Rise to your fingertips. I think that my playlist might have gotten a little screwed up. Now turn your left toes on their side. If you're hearing a really mellow song, it should be your last song, but don't worry about it. Bring your right hand on the inside of your right leg. Turn your left toes to the left. Tuck your tailbone underneath you. Left arm comes up. Making sure that your right thigh is parallel to the floor. Breathe in and breathe out. So similar to our triangle, but our knee is bent. Look down at your right toes. And let's rise up to warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2. Move your left arm back a little bit. Move your right arm forward a little bit without moving anything else in your body. Reaching through fingertips. Back out of your front knee once. Then rebend it. Knee over the ankle. Pull your hips apart. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Flip your palms open. Reach forward. Reverse your warrior. Don't move your legs, just your torso. And then shift that left hip towards the right knee so you have a little bit more lift in the bottom side of your body. Right arm comes swinging back right on top of your thigh. Left arm up over your shoulder. So again, like triangle, but our knee is bent. Take your left hand to your left hip, or maybe bind it. Take your right hand in front or to the right side of your right foot, or maybe on a block, and begin to float your back foot off the floor. Stacking shoulders, stacking hips. Can you do this on your knee? Of course you can. Shoulders stack. Maybe you gaze up. Think about your body looking like an L position, right big toe pressing down. Tuck that right hip under. Tuck that left hip open. Now maybe lift your left arm up to the sky. Maybe you gaze at it. Maybe you put your hands in prayer. Maybe you gather your back leg for Shavasana. You do you, and everybody else will do them. Yeah. Take a big breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Stay where you are, one more breath. And then empty the breath with your left hand down on the floor. Square your hips, pull that left heel back. Bend your right knee, come into a low lunge. Right hand to your hip, turn to the right side, twist. And then right arm comes up, spin it open. Hug your hips towards your midline. Everything strong. Don't forget that back leg. One more big breath. you exhale, right hand down. Straighten your front leg. Shorten your stance if you need it or like it. Maybe you take a block and place it in your left hand and see where it's going to have to go. Rise to your fingertips, hands to your hips or one hand on the block, and then rise up to stand. So I'm going to keep my block in my left hand. My legs are shortened. My heels, so right, step your, and straighten the front leg. Left arm up in the air with or without a block. And then rotate that left hip a little bit forward. Lean out of your torso without rotating your hips. Start with a long spine, then rotate your torso so the hand can come maybe on the outside of that right foot. Right hand moves to your sacrum. Hug the hips towards midline, push the pinkies towards the outer edges of the mat, and then stack your shoulders and maybe that right arm comes all the way up. Maybe your eye gaze goes up, maybe that is too much for your balance. So you look down, because who cares? Only you. Breathe. Inhale and exhale. So again, notice a lot of action in the legs here, a lot of action in the torso. Take one more big breath. Empty the breath and let's fold over the right leg. Step your block off to the side. Bend your right knee and step all the way back to a low lunge. And either step to downward dog or take a vinyasa to get there. You choose. Upward and downward facing dog. Hips up in the air. Breathe in and breathe out. Feet together. Left leg rises to the sky. Step it all the way through. Spin your back foot on its side. Keep your front knee bent on this one. Left hand on the inside of the left foot, and then bring your right hand to your right hip. Turn your torso to the right. So you've got to feel some action in that left hip. Excuse me. Working on the torso rotating, not the hips. Maybe the right arm comes up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hug that left hip towards your midline. Press your right pinky toe towards the floor. One more breath. Look down. As you rise up, warrior two. Exhale. Pull the right arm back and the left arm forward. At the same time, pull your upper thighs outward and inner thighs inward at the same time. Back out of your left leg and then rebend it. Breathe. So more of the work, it's not in the knee, it's not by bending your knee so much, it's by dropping your hips down, getting that thigh parallel to the floor. One more breath. Flip your palms up, reach forward and then bend backwards over that right side. So the legs haven't changed. I'm just guiding my right hip a little bit more to my left side. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. Then bring your right hand to your hip, raise up, left arm forward. Reach out and bring your left hand in front or to the side of your left foot and begin to shift your weight into that left leg. Stack your hips, stack your shoulders. Don't look up until you're good and ready. That might not happen. And then the right arm comes up. Open up your chest, your eyes, your heart. Squeeze. So your body's like an L. Your right heel pulls back. Your left heel pushes down. Breathe in. Oh, I must be on shuffle. Breathe in and out. Hang in there. One more big breath. Good. If you took anything else, come back to your Ardha Chandrasana. Take the right hand down, square up your hips. Drop your hips parallel. Bend your front knee and step all the way back. Low lunge. Left hand moves to your hip, turn to the left side, stack your shoulders. Left arm up, twist. Pull your right knee up nice and high. Can you lift your belly off your left thigh? Can you hug that left hip towards your midline? Breathe in. Breathe out. Last breath. Empty the breath, hands to the floor. Straighten your front leg, fold, or step your back foot in closer, preferable. Hips go square, lengthen your spine. And just melt over that left leg for a few moments here. Just notice what's going on in the body. Can you hug your inner thighs together? And yet, squeeze everything towards that midline without really moving too much. So a little bit more on the inside. If you're using a block, take your right hand on the block, lengthen your spine, and then just rise up to standing. So you may notice when you get there that you need to adjust your feet. You want to make sure you're not on a tightrope, right? But you're on more like tracks. And the back hip is a little rotated out, where the toes are, and that we're going to try to square out the hips. Left hand moves to your hip, right hand moves up into the air, whether it's got a block or not, but I see a lot of blocks, that's wonderful. Shoulders and hips are squared. Now, hinge forward from your torso. Find the length from crown of the head to tailbone. And then once you've got all that length in your spine, then make your rotation. Maybe you can go on the outside of your left foot. Lengthen your spine, inhale, twist to the left side as you exhale. Stack your shoulders, bring the crown of the head towards the front of your mat. And if you have the space, the time, the desire, left arm comes up, maybe you gaze up at it. Keep hugging your inner thighs and hips towards midline. Find the length. That's what we're here to do, is find length in our body, find space in our bodies, and then we move into the space. One more breath. As you exhale, just fold over your left leg. Move your block off to the side. Rebend your front knee, step back. Take your form of a vinyasa or skip it. Do whatever you need to do. Upward dog, downward dog, hips high in the sky. Now, I want you to place your knees onto the floor as wide as your mat. Take your toes to touch and push your hips to your heels. Bring your chin or your forehead to the floor. Arms are outstretched. Spread your fingers. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe you put something under your forehead. Widen your knees a little bit more. And now take your hands in between your thighs and bring your right ear to the floor. Just rest like a baby rests. Child's pose. Can you let your shoulders relax enough that they maybe touch the floor for some of you? And keep the position, but turn your head to the other side. And then come back to the center, release your hands out in front of you. Spread your fingers, keep your arms width apart. Push the forearms down to the floor. Rise up, bring your knees back underneath your hips, and step one leg at a time to a plank pose on your forearms. Draw your elbows towards your knees. Draw your heels up over your toes. Engage that core. Now shift a little forward so the shoulders go a little bit in front of the elbows, and then lower your pelvis, Sphinx pose. Push your pubic bone down. And again, so here you can really feel the action of drawing the elbows towards your hips, right? And pull your heart through, drop your shoulders down. Good, breathe. So squeeze, can you also squeeze your elbows towards each other? One more breath. Good, then take your chin onto your hands as you bend the elbows and put your forehead down. Turn your toes in so they're pigeon-toed and rock a little bit side to side in your hips. Just let go, settle in. If this is not enough for you, go to a child's pose. Now, take your left arm out in front of you. Turn your toes neutral. Bend your right knee and flex the foot. Take your right hand and reach behind you for any direction that works for you right now. Right now, I'm on the inside of my foot with my thumb up towards my big toe. And I'm going to pull my heel away from my butt and my shoulder. And then maybe I'm going to even lift that leg up in the air. Rise up onto your fingertips of your left hand if it feels okay. Try to draw your knee towards midline and kick your foot away from you. One more breath. Release it slowly, arms outstretched. Bend your left knee, flex the foot. Lift the thigh off the, don't lift the thigh off the floor, excuse me. Take your left hand and reach behind for it. So I'm on the inside, my thumb is up towards my big toe. And then lift the leg up in the air and kick it away from you. Rise up onto your right fingertips. Pull your hips, your leg away from you. Breathe in. Turn your toes in, move your hips from side to side, and bring your arms back by your side, palms face up, head down. Bring your feet closer together. Bend your knees, lift your chest up for a second so you can see. Bend your knees and flex your feet. Reach one hand for one ankle, the other hand for the other ankle. Doing both hands, both ankles. If you cannot reach both ankles, do one side at a time. Take a few breaths and switch sides. So now keep your thighs on the floor. Lift your chest only up. Pull your elbows back, shoulders away from your ears. Keep the crown of your head long. I'm looking up so I can see you, but I want you to keep the crown of your head long. And then just lift the thighs off the floor. Push your feet against your hands. And then lift your chest a little higher. Push your feet against your hands. Maybe lift your legs a little higher. And then maybe you can lift against everything and lift both sides a little higher for 3 more big breaths. 2. And 1, let it go. Child's pose, everybody. Sit back on your heels. Bring your arms by your side, palms face upward. Hold on to your heels. Cup your heels with your hands. Bring your chin to your chest. Rise up onto your shins, crown of the head to the floor, forehead to your knee. Rabbit pose, Sarsanghrasana. There should be no weight in your head. Put the weight into the top of the foot and shin, and really round that spine. Pull against your heels and open up your upper back. And then come on back down slowly. Slowly roll yourselves up to sitting. Shift your legs around, all the way out in front of you. Actually, I'm going to turn my mat at this point. Keep your mat where you are, it's fine. I want you to be able to see me. So come and snuggle yourself about the front third of your mat. Flex your feet. Your feet are still about hips width, or maybe your blocks width apart. Yeah. Hands by your side, fingertips on the floor to help pull your chest forward. Drop your shoulders down. Breathe. Turn your toes all the way up to your face. Pull your kneecaps up. And press your thighs into the floor. Really strong pose. Think of Tadasana. And then maybe let go of your hands if nothing else moves. If your body moves, keep your hands down. Pull your chest through. Shoulders down. Now stay long for 1 breath. Then bring your chin to your chest and pull your belly to your spine and just hinge back. Not too far, not too far. Don't let the heels even drag. Pull that belly deep, 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 deep. And then rise up, roll in front of your sitting bones again. Legs are strong and active. 1 more time. Pull the belly in, round backwards. This time let's go a little bit lower so that you're maybe going down to your waistline. Now I have a high waistline, so it takes me a little bit longer. As you get there, take a big breath in. If you need to, you hold your thighs, chin to the chest, roll up slowly, 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 slowly. Rise up to sit up on your sitting bones in front of them. 1 more time, we're going to do this. Chin to chest, round your spine. Hold those legs nice and firm. Go down to your waistline first. Stop there for a breath. Hang out. Flex your feet. Then go down to the tips of your shoulder blades and flex your palms just like your feet are doing. Head is long, spine is long, neck is long. Stay with your legs and bring your hands behind your head. Elbows out to the side, head and shoulders are lifted. You're pushing down through your legs to really activate through that lower half. And then lower your head to the floor. Bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, reach your hands to your heels. Maybe you hold on to your heels. Adjust yourself. Knees in line with hip. We're going to do 1 bridge and or wheel. So take it as you need it. Maybe you want to put a block underneath your hips. Maybe you want to put your hands underneath your back to support, or maybe just a bridge. Or maybe you just want to stay here, turn your knees in together. So, if you're going into your bridge, tilt your pelvis so your back imprints, point your pubic bone upward, push down through your feet, and roll your hips up off the floor till you're resting on your shoulder blades. There's a tendency a lot for the knees to come out or in. So I want you to really do the same thing we were doing standing. Pull the pinky edges of the feet towards the edges of the mat. Knee in line with your hips, energetically pulling your knees, your heels back and your knees forward. Now if this is enough for you, stay here. If you want to take a back bend, hands come by your shoulders, fingers point towards your shoulders. Come lightly to your head first and then press up into your big, beautiful, open heart, open body, open chakra, chakrasana or urdhva dhanurasana, upward facing bow pose. Stay for a couple breaths. Beautiful. I can't see who that is. I think it's Cindy. Good. Nice job, guys. Breathe. Then when you're ready to come out of it, chin to chest, upper. First your head, upper, mid, lower, back down. And since we're only doing one, hug your knees all the way up to your chest, because we just did back bending. Take a happy baby pose. Any way you want to hold onto your toes. Just keep your tailbone down. If your tailbone's lifted, you're holding on too far. And bring your hands down so that you can lengthen out your spine. Maybe you rock a little side to side. And then come back, pull the knees on the outer ribs, feet towards the ceiling. Subtle movements are the best, right? Small little bits at a time. It's like running a marathon. You don't just get out there and run 26.2 miles, you build up to it, right? So build up to your strength and your flexibility. Let go of your feet, draw your knees to your chest. Hug around. If you can grab the opposite elbows, great. If you need to go shorter, great. Do what you gotta do. Hug your knees really together and close to your chest. As you release the arms, they stay there. Then shift your hips left and let your knees fall to the right side. Twist. Come back to center. Give that hug again. Maybe you lift your head and shoulders up one last time. When you let go of your legs, they shouldn't boomerang away from you. Head down, arms down, legs are still compressed towards your chest. Hips right, knees left. And then gently make your way back to center. Hug your knees all the way in, round your spine. And now extend your arms and legs out. One breath here. And then all the way down to the floor. Bring your arms by your side. Let your legs open up. Relax. Breathe in. And breathe out. Scan your body from head to toe, toe to head. Notice any points of tension that might remain in your body and just kind of breathe them away. So scan from top of the head all the way down to the toes. I expect everybody to get an A+ in Shavasana today. Let your breath start to come back to its natural pattern, right? Which is different for each of us. Allow your body to completely surrender into the mat, melt into the mat. All physical and mental tensions leave the body and the mind. those of you who have the opportunity to stay and linger in your Shavasana, just turn off the video and stay in your peaceful pose. And for those of you who need to make your way back up into some sort of reality, start to breathe a little deeper, start to move your fingers and your toes. When you're ready, make your way onto either side. Linger for a moment before coming to a comfortable seat. And just gather your thoughts, your space together. And then let's all bring our hands to the heart center. Tucking the chin, bowing down gracefully and gratefully for our practice, our community. Just be grateful for yourself, for getting yourself here this morning. I thank you so much for being here. We support each other, particularly in this crazy time of ours. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace to all. Bowing down to each other, to the light, the peace, the goodness that we find within. Namaste. Satnam, Dom, peace. Everybody have a wonderful day. For my friends at home, stay fit, stay healthy.